Hey, hello, how are you doing, my friends from JC Kids Education? Wow, it's a bit colder today. We are in winter. Wow. Well, today we have a new experience of class. So, as you can see, the topic today is Snowflakes. That's the name of the new story, remember? You remember the last one about Froggy? Hop, hop, Froggy? So now we're going to start with Snowflakes. What is going to be about this? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you that the story is going to be given in Denver, Colorado, United States. Have you ever visited Denver, Colorado? Probably you're asking, you wonder yourself, why Mr. JC is wearing these sunglasses. It's not because it's hot, no. It's because when you are on the hilltops, on the mountains, on cold weathers, you have to protect your eyes. Yes, you have to protect your eyes from, how do you call that? Ultraviolet. Yes, so it protects me. Even I can see the sun anywhere, the sun is there. One of the common things when you spend time in Denver, Colorado is the winter season. You know what children really love and adult people like me? The snowy. Imagine, for example, look at here to my snowman friend. Have you ever built a snowman? It's very simple. Look at his nose. The nose, you just put it in the spot of the nose, you pick up a carrot. And you put the carrot right there. After that, you pick up more snow and you roll it and make it larger, larger and larger. We are going to use a small of this roll of snow for the head and the other larger part, the biggest part, for the body. Is it clear? Pay attention. After that, you're going to try to find out and pick up a hat. If it's black, it really suits perfect, like this. Are we forgetting the eyes? You just put some little, even olives, something that is black, and you cover this in the spots with the eyes. And after that, look at the scarf. Our snowman is going to need a scarf. He's going to need a scarf, right? So you are going to go around its neck. And what about its legs? And what about its hands? Very simple. Pick up some sticks from the branches of the trees. Look at this. These are the pine trees. You pick up some pine trees branches and then you just put it right here and right here. Simple. What do you think? Was it very difficult? Oh, it comes to my mind. I was forgetting its mouth. Oh, what are you going to use for its mouth? Very simple. For the spot of its mouth, we are going to use a pipe, a black pipe, and we're going to stick it here and push it here. Yeah, right? Simple. Hey, look at my clothes, what I'm wearing right now. When it's winter and it's snowy, you're not wearing the normal clothes that you wear on summer weather. You know why? Because it's really cold. For example, now, what I'm wearing, look at this. These are my gloves, my mittens. I forgot to put my earmuffs, but my earmuffs is going to help me a lot. I am wearing this really heavy coat who protects me from the snowy. Hey, and I'm wearing my white boots. I forgot to put on my black boots, but the boots are going to help me a lot. That my feet didn't get freeze, you know. It's really cold. You don't imagine how cold. And I am going to wear heavy pants like this. You look at that, heavy pants. Excuse me that I'm going to put my hood, but it's really cold. Remember I told you I forgot to put on my earmuffs? Well, everybody's expecting to listen to this story today about snowflakes. Well, this adventure, it starts in Denver, Colorado. It was about in the year 1990. It was the winter season, and there were three little, friends. I am going to introduce one of them. This one, that you can see the boy right here, was Peter. Peter, he was 12 years old. The one that is next to him was his sister, Daisy. But Daisy was just 11 years old. You see the boy that I'm going to tell you what happened with him right there? He's Jeffrey. Jeffrey was the shortest one. He was just 9 years old, imagine. It was a very cold day. Obviously, it was winter season. So the children were sleeping in their cabin. They were living and spending this vacation time in that cabin right there. This cabin is a very warm place. You know why? Because a part that is made of pieces of wood, there's like a chimney where you always, every day in the morning, in the afternoon or at night, especially, you can drink a really hot chocolate. Have you ever had the chance to be in a fire good? So normally you pick up the sticks from the branches of the pines and you put in the chimney. You just light some fire, and then you get around it and you feel like warmer. It is very common right there. And we take advantage of the fire to put your teapot or a little pot to make a really delicious hot chocolate in the morning. What children really love, what they like are the cookies with the little balls of chocolate, like Chips Ahoy, like Oreo. They love it, especially when the grandparents made it. So, hot chocolate and the cookies is one of the very common breakfasts when it's winter season. It helps you a lot. It fills you full of energy and you feel like warm, which is the idea. What all children love doing all the time is making snowballs or playing this funny game that you pick up some little piece of snow, you make it like a ball, and then you just point somebody else, and then you start throwing, or somebody say, hey, go, and you start covering yourself. It's really funny. If you have the chance to visit once in your life, Denver, Colorado, in winter season, and you have the chance, just to make these balls of snow, just start playing and throw it. It's really fun, and it's a really good opportunity to spend a great time with friends. Well, for example, here in our country, we're expecting summer. In Denver, Colorado, students are just expecting to finish school. Hey, in the United States, students finish school in June. Yes, and vacation starts, on June. Now we are in June, so they have already finished school. And they are getting back to school again in September, the first day. That is the big difference with the education here in our country, in Peru. When do we start school in Peru? We usually start in March the 1st, right? And we have a middle vacation time in July, right? After our country anniversary, which is different in the United States because the anniversary, the country anniversary in the United States is July the 4th. Don't forget it, like the movie, yes? So there are little differences between one country to the other one, right? So that day that these children were playing, throwing balls everywhere, one of them, who was, the new one. I'm saying the new one because Jeffrey, the boy that you see right here, he was not from the United States. He was from Peru. So he had the opportunity to visit, his friends, because one of them was a really closer family member. So imagine for Jeffrey to see snowy, to see the mountains without hills of snow right there, like an ice cream melted, was really new. Was a new experience for him. So that day that they were started playing with the snowballs, he asked their friends, and he said, I would like to go to the lake. So Daisy answered, no, we cannot go to the lake. It's really dangerous. But why? If everything is frozen. So in that moment, Peter says, usually in winter, we avoid to go to the river. Yes, you're right, Jeffrey, says, Peter, you are right that the river is like the ice, but there are some places where the ice is cracked, so we cannot get right there. Of course, under the ice, you can see a lot of fish. Yes, for example, the trout is one of the most delicious, fish, kind of fish. That's why, imagine the polar bears, the wolves, they find their food right there. So imagine, most of them are really good swimmers. Did you know that? For example, in the case of the polar bears, they usually use their guts just to catch their prey, and they immediately then. But there are people, really good people, that they are really good fishermen, that they usually fish in the river in that kind of coast, but they take their risks. They notice that it's really dangerous, but of course, it's not like you start running from here, running back, running and going from one place to another. Jeffrey couldn't understand that at the beginning. But then Daisy insists to his brother Peter and says, "Hey, why don't we go? It's very close from here." "Yes, but we have to ask permission to our grandparents. They are not going to notice," said Daisy. "We're just going to go for some minutes and we go back." And Jeffrey says, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to see the river." And then, Peter said, "But we're not going to see the river at all. Everything is like frozen, you know?" "No, please, I want to go." At the end, Jeffrey was very convincible boy, and they decided to go. So as you can see, they are doing something that I hope nobody of you does at home. Disobedient. Sometimes when the adult people, your parents or relatives, they tell you not to do that, it's because there is a reason. But what happens with most of you sometimes? You usually do the opposite way. It's like, for example, don't play with matches, don't play with fire, and sometimes you start playing and you usually do the opposite way. Hey, be careful. So in that case, I understand in a way that Daisy was a really good person and she just wants that Jeffrey knows the river, even the river was like the ice. Well, I'm going to continue talking. If I am going to start describing about Jeffrey, apart that he was a really smart boy, he was really curious. He loved nature, you have no idea how much. One of his dreams always was to see a real wolf. The wolves usually howl when it's at night, when they're hungry. Have you ever heard a wolf howling? It's fantastic. Even everybody knows that wolves are not domestic animals, like squirrels that you can play with them. Wolves, like polar bears, are wild animals. But one of the things that I consider really weird, really strange about Jeffrey, and he was not scared of them. He always used to watch a lot of television, especially that channel of National Geographic, where you can see a lot of kind of animals. One of them was his favorite programs. But now having the experience and the chance to see one face to face, it was one of his real dreams. But when they go there, I'm talking about Peter, Daisy and Jeffrey, to the river, you have no idea. If you could be right there in his place or in my place to see his face, his eyes were really bright of happiness. You have no idea. When they got there, one of them proposed to play one game. Have you ever played hide and seek? So Peter proposed them to play hide and seek. But Peter, he knew it about that it was a really dangerous place. He established some rules. The principal rule of all of them was not getting into the river, because it was the most dangerous place, you know that. They could hide a place behind a pine tree, behind the cabin, behind the camping sites, but just around those places, not anywhere. So when one of them says, okay, who is going to count? So Daisy says, I want to count. So just she went right there, just to cover her face and put it to the tree. Just ran into the tree and start counting 1, 2, 3. Obviously he had to count to number 20, right? So Peter ran and tried to find a place where he can hide. Obviously he decided to hide just behind the cabin. And you know what happened with our friend Jeffrey? He was looking for a place where he can hide. And in that moment, he saw that snowflake coming from the very, very top. And he was like following the snowflake. And the snowflake just downfall in the middle of the river. But even it was like about 30 meters from the place that he was supposed he's going to hide. He was really curious to see how is that snowflake like. So even Peter established the rules at the beginning about not going to the river. He broke the rules. He just started walking slowly and getting to the place where he saw the snowflake down, falling down. When he was closer, as much more he get closer to the snowflake, he saw the snowflake like bright, like a diamond. So he says, I'm going to pick it up. But when he put one of another steps on the cracked ice, immediately he fell down into. Because one of the ice covers broke. So he starts like droning. There was nobody else, around him that could help. Because Daisy and Peter, they were supposed to be playing. And they saw that he was supposed to respect the rules from the very, very beginning. In that moment, it was a matter of life and death, my friends. It was a matter of life and death. Imagine being in that situation. And the problem is that he couldn't swim. Luckily, there were some hunters around the river. It's very common to see hunters around the river. The hunters usually hunt deers, okay? They usually hunt deers and reindeers. The deer's meat is really delicious. I have had the chance of eating it. So in that moment, one of the hunters saw like somebody else asking for help. So one of them says, hey, tie a rope around your belt and we are going to help you just to pull it out. So the other hunters, one of them, the brave one, start like walking onto the river, and immediately he just swam in there and could pull him, the boy, outside. Imagine the cold water, frozen water. So immediately he took the boy and the other hunters start pulling the rope just to take them away from the river, from the ice area. In that moment, one of them picked up a blanket to cover the boy and to make him warm. Because when you are in that situation, you can suffer from hypothermia, imagine. And he almost could die, but luckily, he didn't die. Immediately, he was taken to one of the cabins and get closer to a fire good, just to get warm. Luckily, of course, there are doctors around these places where usually people, come around. So Jeffrey had one of the biggest lessons of his life. Disobedience is not good, my friends. If somebody else, this is like this is like that. You have to learn to obey. To obey when somebody else gives you instructions or establish rules with you. It's like in a school, no? The authority is the teacher. Who is the authority at home? Your parents, right? And if your parents are not at home and you have a top sister or a top brother, they are the authority. So Jeffrey learned the best lesson of his life. He put in risk his life just because he saw that snowflake, which was wonderful. He was studying the really, winter season snow. So students, I am so happy that you had the chance of listening this new story. And the moral, I'm going to say the experience, the lesson is obedience. You have to always obey. All of us, we have duties and we have rights, don't forget it. So what are your duties as a student? What are your duties as an adult person, as parents? Think about that. I hope that you really like the story today, how to make a snowman, how to play with this snowballs, roll snowballs, and the experience about our friend in common because he's from our country. I'm talking about Jeffrey, that luckily he survived of this terrible accident because of the hunters. Please don't forget to like to my Facebook and YouTube. I'm so happy that we are growing up and people really enjoy the videos. Thank you so much for that. Have a wonderful day and we see you the next class. Bye bye, see you!